Hello everyone, I'm head baseball coach here at Heritage Hall, Jordan Semore. Welcome to my masterclass. Today we will be discussing how to put certain plants in pots to try to get your backyard and front yard ready for this summer. Make it look beautiful, spruce it up a bit. Just want to make sure that we go through this. There are a few things we're going to learn, the type of atmospheres that plants need to go in. All sorts of plants have different needs, and so some of them need more water than others, some of them need more drained soil than others, some of them need more light than others, and so there are a lot of different things you want to look at when it comes to putting a plant in a pot. You have to take all those things into effect and make sure that we kind of account for that. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to go over the things that we're probably going to need today. We might not need all of it, but when I put a plant in a pot, I tried to think in my head what I needed, and I came up with a list. And what we have is, you need to pick out your pot that you like, obviously, the plant that you want to put in it. Today we're going to work with some potato vines, purple and yellow, and we're going to work with some ferns. Both of these are going to go in an area where it's kind of shady. The fern definitely needs the shade. It does not do very well in complete sunlight or heat, and so we're going to try to put that in a pot and put it in an area where it collects more shade than it does sunlight throughout the day. But it also needs a lot of water, so it's kind of a touchy plant, feel and go. But the potato vine, you can pretty much put this anywhere you want. It's going to grow as long as the soil is not wet for too long, because then the roots will die out and they'll rot out. So potato vine and some ferns today, what we're going to work with. With that, we'll also need either pea gravel or river pebbles, whichever you prefer. Pea gravel is a little smaller grain. The river pebbles is a little bigger, so I like to use the river pebbles when I put it in the bottom of the pot. I always want to get some potting mix. You don't really want to get the garden mix. You want to get the potting mix because we're going to put that in the pots and it has a different atmosphere for the plants. We'll have some garden max. This is stuff that you mix with water to put in it, in your plant once you're finished putting it in the pot. And I believe that's it. Oh, get my shovel. I always want to have a shovel. So get these out of here. When I start putting plants in pots, the most important thing for me to always understand is it needs to have a bottom with a hole in it so it can drain. If you don't have a hole in the bottom of the pot, there's nowhere for the water to go, and it sits there and it just gets very stagnant in the dirt, in the soil, in the potting soil that you have in the pot, and it pretty much defeats the purpose of doing anything and everything. Just make sure that we continue to have some type of drainage in the bottom of your pot. So if you get a pot and it doesn't have it, it's really easy to poke a hole in the bottom, drill holes, whatever you need to do. 1, 2, 3, it doesn't take very much, but this one, for instance, only has one. We'll get started. The next thing is the gravel. Okay, so we put the gravel or the river pebbles. Like I said, the river pebbles is a little larger grain. The pea gravel is very small, so we'll go with the river pebbles, and you want to put it in the bottom. I usually do probably 2 or 3 inches. We're going to do it this one too. Okay. Now, before we continue, I am outdoors. It looks like it's going to rain on me, so we're probably going to have to try to speed up this process. They want me to do probably 25 to 30 minutes, but this process alone is usually about a 10 to 15 minute job, so try to explain as we go. It is kind of noisy outside. I'll be as loud as I possibly can. I am by the front gate at Heritage Hall in the Mathis bed, one of the most beautiful beds on campus. There are cars coming in and out. I've already had 3 people stop and talk to me, so if we kind of get interrupted, just bear with me. Like I said, we want to make sure that we put the river gravel in the bottom of the pot first. That allows the moisture and the water to drain through your soil and drain through the pot, and it doesn't collect at the bottom and get stagnant. So basically your river gravel or your pea gravel is just a big filter. It allows the dirt and the soil not to get to the bottom and get that clogged up. Spread that around a little bit. This one I already have ready. So once we get the plant in it, all I'll be doing is pulling the soil out, putting it in, and we're good to go. These two, I wanted to show you the step-by-step process. So once we have the pea gravel or the river gravel in the pots, then we are ready to add some of the soil. What I'm going to go with today is Nature's Care Miracle Grow. It's an organic potting soil. There's really not a big difference between that and the regular Miracle Grow potting soil, other than price. $15 a bag for the regular potting soil that you see from Miracle Grow, and these are probably $8 or $9. So when it comes to something that's not a big difference as far as your outcome, try to save some money when you can. Put that in there. Now all I want to do is fill it about halfway at the point. Spread that around. And I don't have it on me, but if I had a water can or something, I'd probably add a little bit of water in there right now just to keep it moist at the bottom. That's if your potting soil is not already moist. Most of the time, potting soil bags, unless they're left out in the rain, will come a little dry. So you need to make sure you just put a little moisture in there before you put the plant in. So right now I've got that about halfway full right here. And it really depends on how you want to play this. Sometimes you can fill it up and then move your soil back and put the plant in, or you can fill it up halfway, drop the plant in, and put your soil around it. There's really no difference. It's just your preference. So we'll do both. This one I'm going to go halfway. This one I'm going to go ahead and fill up. Kind of see the process for both. Now we'll start with the potato vines. I'm going to put them in here. So it's going to sit like this. I'm going to mix in some color with the yellow potato vines around the purple. It makes it really pretty. Potato vines, if you've never worked with potato vines, these things grow very rapidly and they spread out all over the place. So whatever bed you're working with them in or whatever pot you're working with them in, just prepare to lose sight of the pot after a few weeks and prepare to have that bed overtaken a little bit with the potato vine in its area. If you plan for that and don't have any space or anything around it, it makes it beautiful, it's great, but you don't want it to overtake other plants in that area because it will wrap around and sometimes choke them out. This is a purple potato vine, very deep color, very dark, deep purple. Now when you take it out of the pot, all the time on potato vines and ferns, it'll come out just the shape of the pot. That's because it's root bound, going all the way around, okay? What you need those roots to do again, and this is very dry, so we'll have to water it as soon as we put it in and get it finished. What you need these roots to do is to kind of break away from themselves so they can go out into the soil when you put it in. So what I do is just grab it and start breaking those roots up a little bit around it, around the bottom and the base, okay? Just break those up just a little bit. You don't want to tear it in half, but just loosen those up. Oh, that's dusty. That way when you put it in the soil, where it wants to go, we need to add a little bit more soil right there. Bear with me, bear with me. Take some out of here. We'll replace this. Okay, that should be enough. Now, like I said, we break these roots up, it's going to allow that stuff to kind of regrow and grow out towards the soil that you put it in, which is what you want. If you were to take this out of the pot and put it straight into the dirt, the roots are root bound. They're going around themselves, and they won't grow out at that point. They'll continue to grow around, and it will not be successful as far as being able to grow out and have a nice looking plant throughout the remainder of the summer. So set that right there. I'm going to set it towards the back side of this plant, or this pot, because I want to put on the front side the lemon lime or the lime colored potato vines. Mixing those two colors together, it's beautiful. It's great. It just looks awesome. And like I said, they both sit there and run out and grow, and they'll blend into one another, and it just looks great. So, add a little bit more soil here. Spread some of that around. Okay, now you want to get that soil level to the height of these. So you can set that in there, and it sets just about to the edge, which is where I want it, and about to the top of the other purple potato vine. So we are kind of good to go. Take these out, these as well, no root bound. We want to make sure we break those up very gently. Don't need to tear them in half. We're not trying to destroy them. Set it down there, nice and easy. Same thing going all the way around with these. Just gonna break those roots up. Might actually extend this into a 25 to 30 minute video. Doing my best. Usually go through this a lot faster, but I'm doing great. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I would hate to get to the end of this video, rewatch it, and find out that you guys couldn't hear me because of background noise. But if so, I guess we'll just have to redo it. HH Masterclass 2020 coming at you. I'd also like to give a shout out to the seniors of 2020. You guys always have been and always will be a special group. What you've had to go through this year just proves how resilient you are and how resilient you can be. Really proud of all you guys, ladies, gentlemen. It's hard to go through, but you handled it very well. Proud of you guys. Love you to death. Congratulations on graduation. I have no doubt in my mind that you guys will be successful moving forward. With that said, ooh, man, got a lot of seniors. Been here a long time. I love those kids, so it's hard to say goodbye to them, but we'll move on. Okay, get back to the job at hand. We want to put soil back in around this now, and once we fill this out with soil going around, we're pretty much good. We've kind of split this pot purple and yellow color. Like I said, they will grow together, wind in, and it'll be good. So fill this out. It's going to take me just a minute, so you guys bear with me. Okay, spreading that around. Trying to beat the rain here. We're hopefully going to get that done, because I would hate to get in the middle of this and not be finished with the project and it start raining on me. You know what? I don't even care. As long as my phone's not getting destroyed, I'm going to stay out here and get wet. Let's do it. Okay, we're about good on filling this in. Filling that in, make sure that we have some between the potato vines and the pot. You don't want to have that just up against it, so make sure it has room to let those roots grow into some soil. I always want to have some soil for those roots to grow into. Soft soil, you don't want it to be packed down, because then it's really hard for the roots to extend and grow. Okay. Get some more in there. I think we're good on that front. Okay, you kind of see the half and half. It looks a little rough at the moment, but you give that some water, you give that 2 weeks, that thing's going to be over the pot. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be surrounding that pot. You won't even see any of this wood. So that's one way to do it. The second way, I told you, we were going. Oh, let me clean up my mess. I don't like a mess. In Oklahoma, these little things will blow down the street faster than you can run and catch them. So, or faster than I can run and catch them. I know that. Okay, mess picked up. Okay, we're good to go. Second pot, we're going to take this and we're going to put in the fern. Okay, so like I said, we filled it up to where we want it the first time. Now we're just going to pull back some of the soil. That way it has a spot for us to drop that fern in. Now with these are hanging baskets, so they'll always have these clips. Really simple. A lot of people don't understand. All you have to do is take it, push it out and down. push it out and down, push it out and down, and we're good. Okay, now these ferns will probably have the same effect that the potato vines did, which is the root bound. If not, I'll be really surprised. I'm really surprised. We're not root bound. You still want to break that up a little bit just to let that soil get loose. You don't want to completely put just something that's been sitting in a pot into another pot. Kind of break that up again so it has an opportunity to grow. Now we're going to drop that in our hole. Okay, we're good to go. Break up the edges a little bit. The top of the edges, just kind of break those up, shred them up a little bit, loosen that up. Fill that in. And listen, I tried for the longest time to just be clean and neat, like while doing this. It's really not possible. So don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. I'm wearing gloves, which is probably the smart thing to do. But don't be afraid to get in there and, you know, you don't have to be clean the whole time. Just clean up your mess afterwards. Makes it a lot easier. Fill this around the edge. I brought a shovel because a lot of people might use a shovel, but I honestly, when I'm potting plants, I like to work with my hands as much as I can. Makes the job easier. I don't know. I just prefer working with my hands. So we got 2 down, we got 1 to go. Moving over here, like I said, when we pulled in here, I already had soil and rocks in this one. Got a few rocks at the top. Let's get those out of there. Set those aside. I already had soil and rocks in this one, and so kind of good to go there. This was actually a pot that had an old fern in it that I transferred to the ground. I always want to make sure when you're transferring pots or plants from pots to the ground, it's the same thing. When you pull that out of there, make sure those roots are loose a little bit. They have an opportunity to grow into the new soil. And when putting into the ground, you do not want to just dig a hole and drop it in. You want to dig the hole probably twice the size, almost twice the size of the pot or the plant. The plant. And that way you can loosen soil back in the bottom of it before you drop it back in. Because if you dig a hole and it is smooth and flat surface in the bottom and there's no way for those roots to grow, it doesn't have a chance of success. So loosen that dirt up a little bit. Open the hole a little bigger than it needs to. Just loosen the dirt up, drop the plant in, you're good to go. Okay, we'll make our hole here. Pull this back. Okay, remember our hanging baskets. Right here, out and down, out and down, out and down. That's just a tip. It's a good one too, especially if you work with plants a lot, because those trick me the first couple times. Be really surprised, root bound. Okay, we got a little root bound here on top, so it's trying to make its way all the way down. Once it gets down to the bottom, it starts growing out. It'll start wrapping itself around like this. These actually aren't too bad, which is great, because ferns being root bound, really tough to break those roots up. They're a little thicker, and it's just hard to break them down. So we want to kind of break those up around the edge, and then we will drop it in. Look how pretty that's set in there. Okay. Now just fill around our edges after we break up that top edge a little bit. Remember, break that up, loosen it up. We don't want that to be root bound. Okay, fill that around. Making a mess over here. I hate a mess. I hate a mess. It's all right though. Clean it up afterwards. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I still don't want to get to the end of this video and you guys couldn't hear anything. That would be awful. Okay, so we've got that filled all the way around. We got our fern in there pretty nice. Now remember, 3 things you really want to take into consideration when putting plants anywhere, whether it be pots, landscaping, flower beds, gardens, anything. You always have to take into account the amount of sunlight, and for that matter, what time of the day it gets that sun. Morning sun is usually a lot cooler than afternoon or evening sun. You want to take into effect the moisture of the soil, how much irrigation it gets, how much water it gets, and sun or shade. You know, make sure that it has the appropriate amount of shade, just like this potato vine. Like I said, it can grow anywhere. It can grow anywhere, as long as it doesn't freeze at night. Okay, at 50 to 55 degrees on a consistent basis is what it needs to be, that or higher, for these to be good and put in the ground. These ferns, they just don't do well in consistent hot sun. So they can do 2 or 3, 4 hours of morning sun and be good to go. But afternoon, evening sun, probably not great for them. They will burn up really quickly. Potato vines, just keep them watered. Make sure that moisture drains, because if it sits in like this pot, for example, if we were to put these potato vines in this pot and there was no hole in the bottom for it to drain, that soil would become stagnant and it would rot these roots. So they have no chance of growing at that point. So always want to check the moisture of your soil, check the amount of water that it gets, and make sure that the appropriate sunlight. And obviously plants that bloom, you can't put them in freezing temperatures, so unless they're pansies, and at that point you just want to make sure you check your temperatures are going to be consistent moving forward, especially when you're starting out with seeds and putting things in the ground. Hold on just 1 second. Okay, good. Clean my trash. And we are golden. Okay. I hope you guys learned something in my master class. This is my first time to do it. Would not be afraid to do it again, because that was kind of fun. Kind of show you guys the process that I take when I put plants in pots or plants in the ground. Just make sure that the roots have an opportunity to grow. Okay. Make sure the soil you put them in is loose. Make sure they're not root bound when they go into the soil. And for that first week or two, you've got to make sure you consistently water them. Okay, they need that water for the roots to grow and to hang on to and make them good. Just check them the first couple of weeks. If you think they're in too sunny of an area, try a different spot. If you think it's not enough water, maybe you should water a little bit more. It's common sense type stuff, but it is very easy to mess this stuff up. So each one of these plants, when you get them or when you buy them, they'll all have a tag. Just check that stuff out. It'll tell you how much water it needs. It will tell you what type of sunlight it needs. It will tell you what type of soil it needs. Use that stuff to your knowledge, because it is very helpful. That's how I got to learn most of the plants and the stuff that I deal with on a daily basis, is just by reading and learning and by experience. I'm telling you, there are many times that I tried something that did not work, but it was a learning experience for me. Didn't try it again, and we became successful in different areas, different times. So it's really fun just to get out and change something with your hands to make something look beautiful, and that's why I do it. So thank you for experiencing my masterclass. I am Coach Jordan Semore here at Heritage Hall. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Thank you so much. Seniors, 2020, love you.